Hey everyone, it's Dustin Nulf with eXp Realty and the Dustin Nulf team. Today we are going to look at business planning for real estate agents. We're going to look at a simple business plan, which is a way for you to calculate from your net income to your gross income, and then all the way to the bottom line of how many hours per day you're going to have to work towards lead generation and how many leads you're going to have to connect with per day in order to meet your goals. So let's take a look. For agents who have joined my network or have partnered with my team in some way, you will have access to this share drive that I'm going to show you. If you're watching this, you're an agent that has not partnered with me and you'd like to learn about partnering with me, please see the links in the comments below. To get started, we're going to go to our shared drive. We're going to go to the Dustin Nulf team folder, and then we're going to go to the agent folder within that, so agents. And within this folder, we do have business planning and contact tracking spreadsheet. We're going to open up both of those so you guys can take a look at what those look like. We also have this available for our team and agent partners on the team resources page through the training schedule. All right, so first we're going to pull up the business plan. I have this business plan created in two separate tabs. So if you are an individual agent that's kind of working on your own and you have either no team structure, or you might have just one administrative assistant or two admins helping you out, you would be running through the solo agent business plan. If you are an agent team and you're more of like a 6th or 7th level team, or you're trying to achieve a 6th or 7th level team, that means that you're no longer in production. You're not selling real estate anymore as the team leader. Your agents are the ones selling the real estate, and you are acting more as a CEO and leader than a salesperson. So if you're going to be aiming for that route, you're going to use this second tab here, and we'll have a separate video and a separate training session for that. So we're going to start here at the top, and we're going to work through this business plan, and we're going to fill out these yellow areas, and that's going to allow us to auto calculate through the bottom of the spreadsheet here, and it will give us a solid prediction based on your numbers and give us your conversion rates and that sort of stuff. Starting with the split, this is what is your split or take from your team or from your brokerage. So we're just going to run this as a 50% split, and again, if your split's different, you're going to put in a different number here. Our average commission in our area is somewhere around 3%. I know there are differences based on location. So if you're, let's say, in Santa Monica, your average commission might be 2 or 2.5%. And this is per transaction side. This is not like a gross commission on a listing. So this is one transaction side. What's the average commission? Average sale price. I'm actually going to go in here and update this because I think we are well above this for national averages. we're gonna skip to a quick browser look at what the national averages are. All right, so that's interesting. So we got here the median sale price nationally is about $210,000, which is considerably less than the average home price that we're seeing here of $350,000. So we're going to go back to this business plan, and we're going to actually put 275 in here, because where I'm located, we're located in Allegheny County, the Pittsburgh metro area, and I know that in Allegheny County it is around 275 average sale price. Now there's two things that we want to be looking at here. If you're an agent that's done a decent amount of transactions in the last year, you should have an average sale price for your transactions, and you should know what that is. You want to put your average sale price in here. So you as an agent, what's your production look like and what's your average sale price? If you've only closed a couple deals though, you want to put an average in here based on your neighborhood or the neighborhoods that you're working in. So I know my team's average is a little bit less than this locally. So if I were doing this for my team, I'd have a lower average sale price than I have in here. And I know we have some agents on our team that have an average sale price of over $300,000, so you'd want to put $300,000 or more in here if that was the case. Next, we're going to move to our conversion rates. So these are very important, and these are variables. These variables are dependent on your production, your skill levels, and how the market is performing. So for example, the contract to close ratio. What we're talking about when we talk about the contract to close conversion rate or ratio, we are talking about if you put a buyer agency agreement in place or a listing contract in place, what are the chances it's going to make it to the closing table? In a really hot market, it might be 80 or 90%. So we're talking about a very strong seller's market. You might have an 80 to 90% close ratio. In a very poor market, it might be a 40% close ratio. So I remember back in 2009 and 10, after the big market crash of 2008, we had maybe a 50% chance that we were closing on a deal if we got a contract signed. So that's very market dependent. It also depends on your skills and ability. And when we talk about contract to close, how good are you at getting your client to the finish line and making sure that you're bulletproofing the deal? Your skills and the market conditions may improve or decrease this ratio percent. Conversion rate, presentation to contract. So this is appointment to contract. When we talk about a presentation, we're talking about either a listing presentation or a buyer consultation. If you've got that meeting and that meeting happens and you do your presentation, you perform your presentation for your client, what is the ratio or the percent chance that you're going to close and get them to sign the contract? I have 50% in here. This depends more on your skills and abilities than it does on the market. What we're talking about when we're talking about skills and abilities is how good is your listing presentation and how good are you at objection handling and following the scripts to get your client to sign the contract. In this case, when I went on a listing appointment, I had an 80 to 90% chance of closing that deal and getting the contract signed, getting the listing contract signed. So your skills can improve this or may even decrease this number if you don't have the skills that you need. Down here we've got a conversion rate, lead to presentation. So out of X amount of leads, how many leads does it take for you to get an appointment, for you to get in front of that presentation? And right here I have a 50% ratio. So that means for every 2 leads that you make contact with, you're going to be able to book 1 appointment. Now, the funny thing is that if your skills improve in this area, it could lead to a lower conversion rate because you should get better at pre-qualifying leads and ensuring that you're not meeting with underqualified leads. So you might have a 20 or 25% conversion rate here if you're a very skilled real estate agent because you're pre-qualifying the lead first and you're not meeting with leads that don't meet your qualification standards. So this conversion rate may drop if you're more skilled in this area. Market conditions as well, the more unqualified leads you run into, a lot of times when the market conditions are low, you're going to run into a lot of undermotivated or unqualified buyers and sellers, and therefore you're going to maybe have a more poor ratio as well here. So the market can affect this also. And kind of last but not least, when we talk about ratios, we're talking about how many contacts will it take for you to generate 1 lead. You have 2 ratios. You have the 40-to-1 ratio or the 12-to-1 ratio. The 40-to-1 ratio means that you're just talking to random people. There's no real reason for you to reach out to them. They haven't reached out to you. So this would be like you just cold calling through the white pages and just saying, hey, are you interested in buying or selling real estate this year? So that's a 40-to-1 ratio. If you contact 40 people like that, and we say contact, we're talking about talk to 40 people, not call them and leave voicemails. We're talking about you actually had a conversation with 40 people. You're going to get 1 lead usually. The other ratio is 12-to-1. 12-to-1 is either people you know or people you have met. It's also people that have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm thinking about buying or selling real estate. If you connect with 12 of those people, you're going to get 1 lead. So which would you rather do? Would you rather work harder and do a 40-to-1 ratio, or work smarter and get a 12-to-1 ratio? I personally would rather work smarter, and that's why I've got 12 here. I want my 12-to-1 ratio, so we're putting the number 12 in here. Now, we are going to look at our net commission income goal. When we say net commission income, we are talking about what you want to walk away with at the end of the year when all your cost of sales have been paid, all your splits have been paid. And I'm going to put in a reasonable number here. So a lot of times when I meet with a new or newer agent, or even experienced agents, they'll come in and say $100,000. And that seems to be the magic number. They want to make $100,000. And then I'll ask them, well, how much was your net commission income last year? And a lot of them will be like, well, 0, or $15,000, or $30,000, or I don't know. And what I say is, you got to take steps to get to your big goals. So if 100,000 is your goal and you haven't closed anything in real estate, you may want to realistically look at something that's a step in between there. And I know that this goes against what a lot of the gurus preach online, but I feel that it's very good to look at realistic goals and achieve those first, and then make steps towards that bigger goal. So, if you come in and you're killing it and you beat your goal early, then we can always adjust the goal. So don't be afraid to set in a step, step number 1. So we're actually going to put in here a realistic goal in the Pittsburgh area for somebody to be able to come in, and if they're making that kind of money, they can actually start focusing on real estate as their full-time job, and they would be able to quit their part-time job or whatever it is that they're doing full-time. So $55,000, for the most part, if you're making 55 grand in Pittsburgh, you are able to pay your bills and look at actually turning real estate into a full-time job. So we're going to put that number in there as a step 1 for this particular person that we're doing this business plan for. And then we're going to put in your cap. If you have a cap, you would put that in here. If you're working for a company with no cap, then you would not necessarily put a cap in here. It just depends on the situation. Now, all of our business partners, all of the agents that are affiliated with our network, they all have a cap structure, and it could be sometimes as low as $4,000, sometimes as high as $16,000. So in this situation, we're going to do this model based on a 50-50 split with a team member, a full team member who's a newer agent. So we're going to put an $8,000 cap in here, and we're going to put in our cost of sales of about $2,500. So what I look at for the cost of sales for a new agent that's within our network is you're going to be paying your monthly fees to stay in business, plus your realtor dues, and then your licensing fees. And it's going to cost roughly $2,500 a year for you to stay in business. So we're going to have that as our cost of sales number. Brings us a subtotal of $65,500. And then what we have happening here is, based on this 65.5, we're calculating, we're referring to the 50% split, and that's what you're going to have to gross in order to net 55. So you're going to have to bring in a gross commission income of $131,000. What happens next is this $131,000 is divided by your average sale price. I'm sorry, it's divided by your average commission rate, which is 3%, and that's going to give us our volume. Okay, so volume is the gross amount of dollar amount of homes sold. So you'd have to sell 4.36 million in real estate in order to net $55,000. We are then again going to divide that by our average sale price now, which gives us 16 units closed. That's the number of transactions that we'd have to do at that average sale price in order to reach our goal. And we're going to move down further. We've got our conversion rates popping in here now. So our conversion rate, contract to close, for every contract we get signed, we have a 75% chance of getting it closed. So for every 4 contracts we sign, we're going to close 3 deals. So what that does, we take the 16, we divide it by 75%. We need to write 21 contracts in order to net $55,000. So we're writing a little bit less than 2 contracts a month, which is not very bad. Then we're going to divide by our conversion rate, which is the presentation to contract conversion rate of 50%. We would need to attend 42 listing presentations or buyer presentations in order to get 21 contracts written. Now remember, this is very dependent on your skills and abilities during the presentation. So let's go up here again real quick, and we're going to change our conversion rate from presentation to contract to 80%. And we're going to see what that does to our numbers down below here. So we went from having to get something like, I think it was 42 presentations to only 26 presentations. So see how much easier your life can get when you have better skills at the job. So that's something that you should be aware of as an agent at any level in your business, is that as you improve your skills, you should see your dollars per hour increase. You're going to start making more money for your time because you get more efficient and productive at what you do. So we're going to come back up and change this to 50% because we want it to be kind of reasonable for a newer agent. And sometimes, you know, it's better to overshoot your goal than to undershoot it. So if we were to come in and actually attend 42 presentations and we actually have a better conversion rate than this, you're going to actually walk away with more money, and that's not going to be a bad thing. Next conversion rate we're going to look at is lead to presentation, so lead to appointment. This means that you'd have to get 2 leads, talk to 2 leads in order to get 1 appointment, which means you'd have to talk to and connect with 85 leads in order to get 42 appointments. Now the big scary numbers are about to happen. So out of the 85 leads needed, remember that you need to talk to 12 people in order to get 1 quality lead. So 12 people will get you 1 quality lead. If that's the case, then we've got to take 85 and multiply it by 12, and we have to connect with 1,016 leads or people connections in order to get the quality leads that are going to turn into our appointments. So we've got to connect with 1,016 people throughout the year. Now the good thing is this is throughout the year, so we're going to divide it by 12 months, and that gives us 85 connections per month that we'd have to make. We're going to divide it again by 4 weeks because we got 4 weeks in a month, and we're going to have 21 connections per week that we have to make. We're going to divide it again by 5 work days, and that gives us 4 connections per work day. Now, I don't know about you, but for me to reach out and connect with 4 different people who have raised their hand and said, hey, I'm interested in buying or selling real estate next year, or they've reached out to us and filled out a form online, in order for me to connect with 4 people, it doesn't take me very long. So we're going to say that in every hour you can connect with 5 people. If that's the case, then you only have to work 0.85 hours per workday and connect with 4 people in order to net $55,000 in commission at the end of the year. Now, these numbers are all well and good, but how do you know what your conversion rates are? How do you know if you're hitting your numbers? Well, you have to track your numbers. If you're not tracking your numbers, then you're not going to know if you're hitting your numbers. And what we've created here is a tracking spreadsheet so you can do just that. So you simply, what I suggest you do is you actually print this out, and you have 12 of them because there's 12 months. Print them out, put them on a clipboard, hang it somewhere around your desk in your office, so you can look at these every day and you can track your numbers every day. Up here we have a spot for goals. So you can type in the goals. What are your goals? What numbers do you have to hit daily in order to reach your goals? So you'd have that filled out first. As you come through here, if the month starts on a Monday, we would start tracking on the Monday, and we're going to track the number of connections we made. And remember, we said connections, so we're not talking about you calling somebody and leaving a voicemail, or you texting somebody and emailing somebody. We're talking about they responded to you. And I'll tell you this, and I get asked this all the time, well, what if they respond and they say, I'm not interested? That counts as a connection. They responded to you. So you started a conversation. Now, the thing that we have to remember when they say I'm not interested is we should always follow up with a question and say, that's no problem. Why is it that you're not interested now? And then we're going to be looking for a response, and we're going to see if there's an objection there that we can handle. But that's for a different training. So we're going to just keep a tally in here. We're going to just physically check a 1, mark a 1, mark a line, mark a line, mark a line. And every time you make a connection, you're going to tally. Every time you actually attend an appointment, we're talking about attending appointments, so that's not making an appointment. If you make an appointment, that doesn't count, because if you make an appointment and you don't show up or they don't show up, then it's not an appointment. We want to talk about appointments that you showed up for and completed the presentation. So we're going to call that appointments taken. I actually might even change this. I think we're going to change this to presentations made. So it's much more clear that that's what we're looking for. You have to complete the presentation. Contracts written. Did you get a listing contract signed or a buyer agency agreement signed? It must be fully executed. If you have a verbal commitment but they have not signed anything, then that does not count as a contract signed. How many closings did you have that day? Closings means that you closed the deal. You got paid, the seller got their proceeds, the buyer got the keys to the house. That's a closing. Must be fully executed. Everyone gets their distributions. And then any other notes about the day that you want to track over here, you can track. And the whole idea is that you're going to track this every day for the month. And then at the very end here, you can total at the bottom, total your numbers out so you know for the month how many of each one of these things you've completed. And then you can compare that to your actual ratios. So if we say that you need 8 connections made and you're actually doing 8 connections and getting 6 presentations, then your conversion rates are different and they're better than what we've predicted. So you could change your model if you're consistently running better conversion rates. Same thing with any of these steps along the way, because these are the conversion steps, essentially going from here to here is a conversion step, from here to here is a conversion step, and from here to here is a conversion step. So it's as simple as that. Track your numbers. If you don't track them, you won't know them. If you're not tracking them, you're probably not going to hit your goals. You really want to focus on making your numbers matter. And you also want to focus on, if you're going to take a week off, for instance, you're going to take this week off, then you should double up on this week to ensure that you met all your numbers for both of these weeks. And that allows you then to go on vacation and still hit the numbers that you were supposed to hit. So let's go back to the bottom line here, and let's remind everyone, we're going to net $55,000 just by connecting with 4 people a day and asking them if they're interested in buying, selling, or investing in real estate. And then we're going to be booking 2 appointments, 2 presentation appointments. And ultimately, we have to focus and invest about 1 hour of our time, less than an hour really if we do this right. 1 hour of our time invested in making connections, reaching out to people. We call, we text, and we email them, and we ask them where they're at in the process, what they're looking to buy or sell, if they're interested in buying, selling, or investing, or if they have a referral for us. Those are the questions we're going to be asking. So is this a difficult thing to do? Can you focus on 1 hour of activity per day, 5 days a week in order to net $55,000? Yeah, why not? That seems pretty easy. So if you like this business planning, please smash the like button. Feel free to subscribe to this channel. We will have other training videos posted here for the team and for the network. And some of these videos and training sessions are going to be available to the general public as well. And this is one of them. I hope you enjoyed. We'll see you again.